Three, two, one.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, everyone, to another empowering episode of the Live Wix Talk Show, where real conversation meets real solutions. Today, we're diving into a topic that affects millions of people, but often goes unspoken until it's too late: debt, collections, and taxes. Y'all know we don't like to hear that. That's why today's guest is exactly who we need to hear from. We are joined by a highly respected tax attorney, actually an individual who has a lot of experience in all the above. None other than the man himself, attorney Glenn Lewis. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
That's good. Thank you, Mr. Lewis, for coming and being a part of the show this evening. As we spoke earlier with brother, Doctor.
Yes, my big brother over here.
Big brother?
He's still here with me,
He's still here with you.
just like
So
he's always been.
we hanging out. And I'm appreciative of you guys, man. So there's so much more I want to talk to y'all off the screen, but we on screen now. Attorney Lewis, first and foremost, how you doing?
I'm good. Or at least not bad. Not bad is good enough for me, man.
Not bad is good enough, right?
Yeah, that's
Well,
right.
You got all access to all the above. The family, man. We was talking about family, the love, and the expertise that's within the family. You're talking about intelligence, intellect, all the above, man. The family, man. I've had a chance to speak with the doc and attorney Lewis here before we got started earlier. So tell us a little bit about you. You're the seventh of 10, right?
Seventh of 10 children. I grew up, born and raised in the Stop Six community
Stop six.
in Fort Worth.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a graduate of Dunbar High School
Mm-hmm.
in Stop Six. I attended Prairie View A&M University initially when I graduated, but I left Prairie View after 1 year, and I returned home to Fort Worth. I went back to school and earned my associate degree from Tarrant County College here. It was Tarrant County Junior College then.
Okay.
And then I transferred after earning my associate degree. I went to Texas Wesleyan University, which at that time was Texas Wesleyan College still. We hadn't become a university yet.
Right.
I went to Texas Wesleyan College and earned a bachelor's degree there. And then after graduating there, I went down to Austin to the University of Texas School of Law.
School of Law.
Where I earned my Doctor of Jurisprudence from the University of Texas.
Jurisprudence.
Yes.
Wow.
And came right back home to start my legal career.
The U.S. District Court in the Northern District of Texas and U.S. Court of Appeals, Fifth Circuit. You're a member.
Yes.
State Bar College of Texas.
Yes.
Now, starting out, you're currently a partner in the law firm of Linebarger, Goggins, Blair, and Sampson. Is that correct?
Yes. Linebarger, Goggins, Blair, Linebarger, Goggins, Blair, and Sampson.
Forgive my country, man. I got a accent over here. No, but so tell us a little bit about it.
We are a collection law firm, and more specifically, government collections.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we are the largest collection law firm in the United States. We do business in 34 states, and I work out of the Fort Worth office.
Okay.
We assist state and local governments in collecting their delinquent property taxes, delinquent court fines and fees, any type of government receivable is what we do. And I would point out that even though we only represent governmental entities, yet and still we're the largest collection law firm in the country. And that says something,
Yeah, it says a whole lot. It says a whole lot. So I'm tapping into unfamiliar territory, but it's good to always know someone who you can call and ask questions about certain situations that might arise. And, it might arise in your life. So if you're paying attention, make sure you adhere and listen. We've got a lot of informative information for you. Attorney Lewis,
Yes, sir.
In the Fort Worth firm, Lewis and Lewis. Mr. Lewis, you as litigator, I mean, how many jury trials have you ever?
At
Is it
least
over
100.
At least 100?
Yeah, that was back when I was with Lewis and Lewis with my other brother,
The other brother, yeah.
Terry Lewis, who was also a lawyer. We lost him in
Yeah,
2010,
see.
but he used to be my law partner, and we did civil rights law and criminal defense law. We filed police misconduct cases. We, police officers were killing people back in the 80s as well. That's not a new phenomenon. The only thing new about it is the videos. We didn't have the videos.
We didn't have video, right.
We used to have to try to prove up our cases with forensic evidence and eyewitness testimony. We did that, and we represented people in the community who are accused of crimes, to try to ensure that they at the very least got fair treatment from the criminal justice system. That's what I did for the first 16 years I practiced law.
Wow. 16 years of civil rights, man. I know you've seen a lot, and there's a lot of stories you can tell.
Yes.
A lot of different cases that was like, what do your psyche have to be like, man, to deal with that, man? Or when you think about your mental, from the mental aspect of it?
Well, I remember the very first criminal trial I sat in on. I had a temporary license then because I had taken the bar, but I hadn't gotten my scores back yet. And so they allow you to go sit with a licensed attorney while you're awaiting licensing.
Okay.
And I sat with an attorney. He allowed me to sit in a criminal trial with him. And the defendant was charged with robbery, and he was convicted, and he was sentenced to 15 years in prison. And he had a wife and a daughter, and they became very emotional in the courtroom. And I remember it was a very emotional scene. And I just buried my head in my hands and was just sitting there. And when I woke up and realized what was going on, courtroom was empty. Everybody was gone, and I was still sitting there.
Wow.
And the judge, who was one of my mentors over the years, he came out to me and he said, listen, if you're going to practice criminal law, you're going to see some days like this because you're not going to win them all.
Right.
And he said, and if you don't learn to handle it a little better than you're handling this, it will put you in an early grave. I promise you.
Wow.
And I took those words to heart.
Wow. Because it's kind of like, my auntie, they were all detectives on the force, man. And being, when they see someone, you walk into a garage where a person have just scattered their brains all across the room, how do you deal with stuff like that? And then so it's kind of like what your psyche and your mentee has to be like. So
you have to be able to compartmentalize.
Ooh.
You have to be able to, because you can't allow it to affect you so much, because you got more than one client you got to represent. You got lots of them. And if you allow one case to get you so mentally in a mental state that you can't help the others,
correct,
then that's not good.
Wow. So from civil rights attorney.
Yes.
State representative.
Yes.
Is it 5 terms?
Yes.
5 terms?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well,
and where and how.
In my younger days as a lawyer, when I was doing the civil rights work and the criminal defense work, I considered myself sort of a lawyer / community activist.
Okay.
And remember, I'm now working in the community that I grew up in.
Yeah.
And it was the community activist piece that led my community to elect me to the Texas State Legislature.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So that community he's talking about is
Southeast Fort Worth.
Southeast Fort Worth.
My district, which is now represented by Representative Nicole Collier.
Okay, no, yeah.
It encompassed all of Southeast Fort Worth, plus the cities of Forest Hill and Everman,
Okay,
and a little tiny piece of Arlington.
a little tiny piece of Arlington. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So this spans back how many years?
I became a licensed attorney in 1984.
84.
And I got elected to the Texas State Legislature in 1994 and began serving in 1995. So I served from 95 to 2005.
Okay. And from 95 to 2005. Wow. Chairman of the Committee of County Affairs.
Yes.
Vice Chairman of the Committee on House Administration. You served on the Committee of State Affairs. You also served as the Vice Chairman of Tarrant County Legislative Delegation, as well as Vice Chairman of Texas Legislative Black Caucus.
Yes.
All the
And,
above.
and ironically, it was the service on the County Affairs Committee that led to my current career as a lawyer, because our law firm represents a good number, the vast majority of counties in the state of Texas are our clients. And so our firm monitors all of the action that goes on in the County Affairs Committee.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were always around the County Affairs Committee, which I was serving and ultimately became the chairman of. And that's how I got to know them.
Yeah.
And after about 4 or 5 years, a relationship developed, and it resulted in an invitation for me to join the law firm.
The law firm.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So as I'm sitting here looking at the bio, oh my God, so much. And
That means I'm old. I've done a lot of stuff.
You've experienced a lot of stuff, but you have a lot of knowledge for people like myself and people who are coming up that needs all this informative information that you have, the knowledge. And we're always seeking, I'm always seeking to learn. I think it's always a continuous learning with me. And I put myself in that seat to always continuously be learning. And House Select Committee of Public School Finance. He was also appointed to the Influential Texas Sunset Review Commission, making him the first African American to serve on this commission in its history.
Yes.
The author of over 70 pieces of legislation. Honors includes twice been named the Texas Medicine Best Legislator by the Texas Medical Association. He has received similar honors from the Texas Association of Hispanic Firefighters, Tarrant County Fire and Arson Investigators, the Texas Motorcycle Association, the African American section of State Bar of Texas, the Texas Association of County Judges and Commissioners honored him with their first ever Lifetime Achievement Award in 2001. Congratulations. Justice of Peace and Constable Association of Texas, Legislator of the Year. In 2003, the Texas Association of Counties named him the Legislative Watchdog.
Yeah.
Mr. Lewis, 10 years of service. I mean, this goes on and on.
I know.
Service,
You don't have
House
to
Service.
You don't have to read all of that.
I want you to talk about it. I want you to brag. I mean, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm just elated just to be in front of you. And Miss Frankie, thank you for allowing this to happen and helping us to make this happen. Because a person like myself, I'm coming from the country, you know, we don't get to see this or speak to people like yourself every day. There's people that go lifetime without ever getting a chance to come in contact with people who have this ability, these knowledge, and all this information. So it's a blessing. I count it all joy. So to read the accolades, to see all the above and what you're doing, I mean, you know I'm about to get to the tax and collections. I'm just leading up to it. I'm gonna let you lead us to it. Ain't that right, Doc? Doc laughs at me like, where's he going with all this? But this is where I'm going. Co-chairman of Public Policy Committee of the United States United Way of Tarrant County. Chairman of Tarrant County Civil Service Commission. This is all with the civil, and then the state representative. Then let's talk about collections and taxes.
Okay.
And we see how this all started. Well, let's talk about the. He has long been a volunteer lawyer for the NAACP legal clinics and One Church, One Child. A life member of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. I can go on. It's kind of hard for me to even get into tax and collection. Ain't that something? NAACP legal clinics, One Church, One Child, is also a frequent speaker at legal, political, and community events. In May of 2007, Governor Rick Perry appointed Mr. Lewis to the Board of Regents at Texas Southern University in Houston. He served 2 full 6-year terms on the board, including 11 years as chairman of the board. Prior to his service at Texas Southern University, he served on the Commission of State Emergency Communication from 2005 to 2007. In addition, his other duties, Mr. Lewis served as the presiding municipal judge in the Tarrant County, city of Forest Hill. He travels, which you've told us a little bit about that previously. Taught Tarrant County College, served Texas State. All the above you told us a little bit about, but I'm just reading some of this stuff, and it's like, wow. So where do we start?
Well, maybe you start with my big brother here, man. I think I mentioned when we were off camera that as the 7th of those 10 children, I had 1 older sister and 5 older brothers.
Okay.
And they were great examples for me.
Great example.
They set the bar pretty high for me.
Hey, that's what it was about.
You know, and I was expected to toe the line.
Yeah.
And much of what I've done in my life was inspired by them.
Wow. So that tells a little bit about what inspires you to specialize in what you do today. For viewers who aren't familiar, what exactly does collection and tax attorneys do day by day or day to day?
Well, we file a number of lawsuits. In fact, in Tarrant County, we file the second highest number of lawsuits to anybody, second only to the Attorney General filing child support suits. We do a volume business. Once when your property taxes become due on the first of the year, every year, if you own property or if you own a business and you have business personal property, we don't do many homesteads because, first of all, most people, if their homestead is mortgaged, then their taxes are escrowed in their mortgage, and so they never have to worry about paying their taxes.
Correct.
Also, even if they're not escrowed, taxes on your homestead are a pretty high priority to people on their home, and so very few people ever go delinquent on those.
Correct.
So we're talking about investment property and business personal property for businesses that are in business, and those sorts of things. All those taxes are due at the first of the year, each year. If they are not paid within the first 6 months of the year, then the tax office turns them over to us for collection. They stopped doing that sort of collection work with the district and county attorneys used to do that years ago. But they had a lot on their plate.
Yeah.
And collecting delinquent taxes was not a high priority for them. And quite frankly, they didn't do it very well. And another reason was that the people that they were being asked to collect from were the same people that they have to ask to vote for them when they're up for re-election. and so it was not a high priority for them. And so back in the 60s, maybe, they started outsourcing this sort of work to private attorneys.
Okay.
And we only get paid a percentage of what we collect. When they become delinquent, they're turned over to us for collection, and our collection fee is added on.
Okay.
And I know here in Tarrant County, less than 5% of the taxpayers ever go delinquent. So the vast majority of taxpayers never pay us anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't notice, like you say, if it's escrowed in, 9 times out of 10 you have to worry about it. Then all the other stuff, man, I'm gonna believe in that. They want escrow because I don't have to worry about it too. Do you often think, which is a whole nother topic, man, the years that you're in your house, that you buy your property, you'll never own your house because of property taxes and stuff like that.
Well,
I don't know if they're,
I don't know if that's true. You do own the tax. You do own the house.
but the land you purchase that land, right, along with
Right.
the home, and I mean, you're paying taxes on the land and stuff like that. If you decide you don't want to pay them or something happens, guess what? They take all the above, right?
That's true. And
So-
taxes are as old as any government, because all governments, we expect the government to provide services to us, and those services have to be paid for some way.
Somewhere, yeah.
And in Texas, we don't have an income tax,
Right.
and like 46 of the states in the United States have an income tax, where they have like a state version of the IRS. You got to pay income taxes to the state and income taxes to the federal government. In Texas, we decided many years ago, long before you and I were born, that we were going to finance local governments with property taxes.
Okay.
And those property taxes pay for the roads and streets that we drive on. They pay for schools that the children go to. And even if you don't have children, you benefit from children going to school, because you benefit from living in a society where children receive an education. Think what your life would be like if you had to live in a community where children weren't given any kind of education.
Right.
They would just let them run free and not be educated at all.
Correct.
When you dial 911 because you feel you're threatened, a police officer shows up.
Correct.
And he's dedicated to his work.
Correct.
But he's got to be paid. He ain't working for free.
Definitely.
You dial 911, your house is on fire.
Definitely.
Fireman shows up. They have to be paid.
Gotta be paid. Yeah, I agree.
If there's a business dispute you have, and so you have to try to sue somebody or take some sort of legal action to resolve this dispute, there has to be a court system down there for you to resolve those disputes in. That's got to be paid for.
You always hear about the tax law. You always hear what's paying, what we pay for this, we pay for all the above. You always hear that. And
Yeah.
You explain that.
So, someone commits a crime against you and you want that person prosecuted.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have a courthouse and a court system to prosecute them in. And all that stuff's got to be paid for. None of it's free. Yeah.
Understanding debt and collections. What is one mistake people commonly make when dealing with debt collectors?
Avoidance. They think that they think somehow you're going to go away if they can just avoid talking to you, which is a terrible mistake, because people are often surprised how willing folks are to work with them, but you got to communicate with them.
Understand.
You can't just ignore them, and people try to ignore it, and somehow they think, well, if I don't talk to them and don't communicate with them, it goes away, but it doesn't.
Well, what right do people have when dealing with collection agents that they might not realize? Avoiding because they don't realize, but like you say, communication, they don't understand. What rights do people have when dealing with collection agencies that they may not realize?
Well, and of course, you got to make a distinction between us and most collection agencies, because most collection agencies are collection firms, law firms. They're representing credit card companies and banks and other types of debtors. We don't. We represent governments. Period. And it is a different type of. There are a lot of differences in representing governments.
You think about it, government, man. Everybody here, government it's a serious thing. At what point does that situation become serious enough to require calling someone like yourself? Is that the 6 months you talking about, or?
Yes, If they're not paid in 6 months, then it's turned over to us to try to go and collect the money. And we work payout agreements with people. We work with people to try to get the money. Filing of a lawsuit, because in Texas, they can't just take your property for taxes. We have to file a lawsuit and get a judgment against you in court, in district court, that authorizes us to seize the property and sell it for taxes.
Wow.
And that is a last resort. We have a very extensive collection effort that precedes that in order to try to get the taxpayer to pay. And, letters, phone calls, conversations, payout agreements, workouts, all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
All those things precede us filing lawsuits.
Wow. So much here. It's a wealth of knowledge.
And one thing I do want to point out,
yes, sir.
Because we say this, you hear this a lot, but it's actually not true. They say, well, you're taxing senior citizens out of their homes. No, once you're 65 years old in this state, you don't have to pay any taxes on your home.
Wow.
Never again. You go and get what we call a deferral. Now, here's the catch to that, though. The taxes continue to accrue and at a moderate interest rate. So whoever becomes the owners, your successor in interest in that home, whether you sell it to somebody, that person you sell it to becomes responsible for all those taxes that have accrued during the years you were deferring them.
Wow.
Or if you pass away and your family inherits the property, whoever inherits that property, that becomes responsible for that. And I remember once talking to a very prominent lawyer in Tarrant County who didn't know that was the law.
Wow.
And when I told him that, he said, well, you mean to tell me that I can stop paying taxes on my home and leave it for my children to pay when I'm gone? And I said, well, yeah, if that's what you want to do, you can do that. And he said, well, first of all, my children have their own homes, and so I don't know that they would be interested in my home.
Correct.
And if they are, it would be to either rent it out or sell it and make money off of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it is unreasonable to ask them to pay the taxes if they're going to inherit my home and make money off of it, since I was the one that paid for the house. I don't think that's an unreasonable request to make of them.
Wow. So I know his thinking.
Yeah. And like he said, and even if they don't want to pay the interest that accrues,
mm-hmm.
they can start paying my taxes on my home now, and no interest will accrue. When I get my tax bill every year, I just give it to them and say, y'all pay this if you intend to inherit my house.
How you think they're going to look? That's with us. How you think you're going to look? Okay. So you don't deal with the IRS in situations like this, right?
No, we don't represent the IRS.
So we talk about liens and stuff like that. And if it just goes unpaid, you say the 6 months threshold, then you guys get involved. How long? I mean, in the lien with the process and stuff like that, with liens and stuff like that, because you got everybody that, you got HOA that can just, stuff like that. You got so many different entities that can process so much against a person's home or property.
Well,
so
ad valorem taxes, which is the legal term for property taxes, ad valorem taxes against a piece of property, or senior to every other kind of tax, even the IRS. We get in line in front of the IRS.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, ad valorem tax, because you always hear people how I'm speaking of HOA because certain fines they give you and all this stuff governing. sometimes you think all of it's just a scam.
Well,
And
I don't know much about HOAs, and I've never lived in a neighborhood that has an HOA, and so I don't, you know, I still live.
You
I
hear
still
about the
live in,
liens that they can put on a person's home or something like that.
I
That's
still
why
live in East Fort Worth. We don't have HOAs in East Fort Worth.
I didn't know you might have insight on, you know, when people ask those questions, they always ask, okay, how can we go about doing this and doing that as a community, as a people of the community? They always ask those questions. You always want to.
And there are law firms that specialize in that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there are law firms that specialize in all the above we're speaking about when it comes to.
And I might add, if you're talking about HOAs, during the time I was in the legislature, we really peeled back some of the power of the HOAs. HOAs aren't very popular. And we found that they were abusing some of their authority, and we passed laws that put limits on what HOAs could do.
Wow. So that's a lot of people. That's why it's a wealth of knowledge and information that needs to be soaked up, and you could soak it up from this guy right here, Attorney Glenn Lewis. So much, man, so much, and that's just a small piece.
Yeah.
Businesses, when you come to tax collection and business and taxes and businesses, small business and self-employed risks. Small businesses face unique tax hurdles. What is the number one thing business owners overlook in their tax responsibilities?
You'd be surprised at how many business owners don't know you have a business personal property tax. They don't pay attention to when they get those notices from the tax appraisal districts. If you are in business and you're in business to earn money, then your furniture, your inventory, your equipment, everything you use to make money is taxable.
Yeah.
Now, you don't have to pay taxes on those things if they're in your home, but if they're in your business and you're using them to make money, then you have to pay taxes on those. And obviously, the tax office doesn't have enough people and will never have enough people to go and look and see what's in every business in the county. That's literally impossible to do. But what they do is they send you out what they call a rendition form. And it is your responsibility to tell them what equipment, furniture, inventory you have in your business and how much it's worth. You get to tell them that yourself.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised at how many people never turn those things in. They get them in the mail and they don't turn them in.
Right.
If you don't turn them in, then not only is there a penalty for not rendering, but now they get to estimate what your business personal property is worth. And I assure you, you would rather tell them yourself than have them estimate.
That's true, because from my personal experience, because I was like, man, what is this asset tax?
Yep.
I'll call it assets.
Yeah.
All your assets. You've already paid taxes on, like the chairs and the tables and the speakers and all this stuff that you're sitting on. You think about it, and you just actually told me what, the people over there, they couldn't tell you. They wouldn't tell you. They won't tell you. And then when you go up there and ask them, what's all this about? Why is this happening? And everybody paying it. Jerry Jones, he's a part of everything. They always talk about the stadium and all this stuff, which they are, I think, well, it's paid for now. Hopefully they can cut back on a lot of this stuff. But asset tax, man, and that was new to me, because all the years that I've been here 10 years, and I don't want to get myself in trouble, but 10 years, but for 5 or 6 years, I didn't have that. And then this big old stadium come along. Guess what? Now you see, man, what is this?
Yeah.
I already paid taxes on everything you're sitting on. Matter of fact, a lot of this stuff I found on Marketplace. Nah. But you think about it, it's like,
and different property has different value.
Yeah.
And the good thing about the rendition process, is you get to tell the tax office what the value of that property is.
And I just found that out like
a
year, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So you gotta
Yeah.
fill that out.
And
if
your
you're a
and your
small
taxes
business.
is based on the value of the property.
Yeah.
And you get to tell them what the value of your property is.
Wow, that's like I say, I was clueless to that, and I'm just found this out myself. A small
Yeah.
business.
A lot of people don't know that.
How important is documentation and bookkeeping when it comes to staying compliant?
Well, it's very important. Obviously, you have to
Right.
keep up with your now your real estate taxes.
Mhm.
That's assessed on you by the county appraisal district. And another thing, if you feel like they have valued your property too high
Mhm.
for purposes of taxes, then you can do an administrative appeal and try to bring in similar properties, comps they call them, and show that why is yours higher than theirs?
Yeah.
You can have an administrative hearing on that.
Okay.
Do an appeal. If you lose at the administrative level, then you can file a suit against the appraisal district in district court and have that reviewed by a judge in district court based on similar evidence that they've appraised your property too high. Your property is not worth this much. You shouldn't be out to pay taxes on this much. But what you can't do, and I see it all the time, under the law, what you can't do is wait and not pay those taxes and wait till they become delinquent and they're turned over to us for collection. We try to collect it, don't pay it, then we file a lawsuit and get you in court. And then you come in court and say, my property was valued too high. I shouldn't owe this much taxes. The law says if you didn't exhaust the remedies that you had, then you can't wait till you get sued and then try to raise the valuation issue. That's too late.
All right. Because that was one of the questions that I was going to ask you next. You went right into it and you kind of answered that question. So protecting yourself and practical advice. What are some realistic steps people can take to avoid tax fraud before they even start? Like, is there a prepayment? Like, if you want to prepay or do something or add this or add that? What are some?
Once you receive your tax bill,
Mm-hmm.
the law provides to avoid it being turned over to people like us for collection and having our collection fee add on, and to avoid a lot of the penalty and interest. You can do what they call a half pay.
Okay.
You can say, listen, I can't pay all these taxes at one time. I can pay you half now during the first half of the year, and then I will pay you I can pay the other half in the second half of the year. And that sort of breaks the payments up. And by doing that, you can avoid having it turned over to us at all.
And I guess that goes to the programs. Are there any legitimate tax relief programs that the average person doesn't know about, which you just kind of stated?
Yes.
There's
program
pay options that you can utilize.
Yeah. And on property that is homesteaded, that is your home, be sure and file for those exemptions with the Tarrant Appraisal District, because I'm sure you've heard a lot about it. It's been all over the news.
Yeah.
Homestead exemptions.
Homestead exemption, yes.
You're entitled to homestead exemptions on your home, but you can't get them if they don't know that it is your home. You have to file a form asking for that exemption.
Right.
And the same thing about senior citizens. You're 65 years old, you're entitled to a senior citizen exemption on your home. You don't know that. For example, my mother is 96 years old. She lives in a very modest home. And as I mentioned earlier, she could defer her taxes and leave them for us to pay when we inherit her house. But she decided that with the homestead exemption and the senior citizen exemption, my taxes are so low, I don't need to defer them. I can just pay them.
Knock them out. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Which brings it to be like, what's the smartest financial habit you recommend everyone to develop? Which which I think you already spoke on that when you talk about escrow and do all that to where you won't have to worry about none of that. As a small business, though,
Well, as a small business, you should, if at all possible, employ an accountant
employing
to advise you. They can't tell you what to do, but they can give you advice. And so you should seek advice from an accountant about what is the best way to minimize your tax liability.
All right.
And I'm sure an accountant will tell you this. I mentioned earlier the appeals process, because they have lots of property they have to evaluate in order for the purposes of taxes. And they do make mistakes. That's why we have the appeal process. And if you think that they have valued your property too high, then avail yourself of the appeals process. And a lot of people get their taxes lowered when they do that.
Wow. So much. I'm going to take a few minutes. We're going to, Ms. Frankie or whomever, if you guys have any questions that you may want to ask Attorney Glenn Lewis, we're going to have a question and answer here within a couple of minutes, okay? Let's have some fun a little bit. What's the strangest deduction someone has ever tried to claim? What's the strangest thing you've encountered?
And this is something that I encounter a lot.
A lot.
We deal a lot with heir property, if you may have guessed, where an heir property is where the record owner of the property, the people who bought it and lived there all their lives, are now deceased, and their heirs inherit the property. And sometimes there's lots of them. If the heirs, if they go 2 or 3 generations, there can be lots of them, and sometimes not so many. But they have disputes over who owns the property or who needs to pay the taxes and all of that.
Right.
And because they have disputes, they expect us to resolve them for them, and we tell them that we can't do that. Y'all have to get together, or get you a lawyer and a probate lawyer and resolve it yourselves. We only have one interest, and our interest is that the taxes get paid. We don't do probate law or anything like that. And sometimes people say, well, my brothers and sisters don't want to pay their share. So now if I pay all the taxes, does that mean the property is mine by myself now? I was like, no, it doesn't. It doesn't mean that. We don't get involved in that.
All right.
Yeah.
I understand. We comprehend. Is there a tax or a debt myth that you hear all the time that you wish would disappear? Like stuff you just heard about the heir, is that one of the ones you just wish that would just disappear, or are there others that you hear all the time you wish that would disappear?
Well, people are going to always complain about taxes.
Yeah.
I was talking to one of our state senators who is a friend of mine, and he and I served together when I was in the legislature. And he said, and I said, what I would like to see is see before y'all start passing bills to cut taxes, I would like to see y'all do some sort of an analysis about how that would affect the cities and school districts and local governments' ability to deliver services that they're expected to deliver. Because I don't care how much you cut. If y'all just cutting taxes because people are complaining, saying they're too high, well, you can't cut them so low that people won't complain. I don't care how low the taxes are. People are going to always complain that they're too high. Yeah. And if you cut taxes just based on that, and you get the taxes so low that the cities, the counties, the school districts don't have enough money to deliver the services and the a quality of life is seriously diminished, then the next thing you know is that people are leaving because they said the quality of life here is not good. They can't keep the roads up. They can't keep this up. They can't keep that up. But I saw a documentary that said that that's what happened to the state of Mississippi.
Mm.
State of Mississippi used to be one of the wealthiest states in this country. Now it's the poorest.
Of course.
Because the politicians kept cutting taxes because people complained about the taxes, which they're going to always complain, no matter how low they are.
Wow.
And it got to the point where I don't know if you've ever been to Jackson, Mississippi.
I rode through there.
But the state of their infrastructure and the services is just in a really bad way right now.
Wow.
And so then people start leaving. They're like, hey, I got to get out of here. The quality of life here is not worth anything. I got to leave. And you end up like Mississippi.
Wow. Well, I think we might have one or two questions out here. I want to take any questions. If you may have any questions out here in the audience,
One question to
you
ask.
speak up a little bit for me.
Sure.
Okay, when you are past the age of 65, your
Yes.
homestead, and what else can you file? Homestead, and what is the other one?
Senior citizen.
Senior citizen.
Yes. Or over 65 is the legal term.
Yeah, so you get to file those two. And I think last year the taxes was one amount, and this year it doubled. Was there some reason for the doubling of price from last year versus this year with Tarrant County?
Usually when taxes go up like that quickly, it's because the value of the property has gone up, because taxes are tied to the value of your property. And the appraisal district sets the valuation on properties. And property values, particularly in Tarrant County where we live, are really high. And high property value is not good when you're paying taxes. But boy, when you're trying to sell it or loan money or borrow money
Yeah.
against it, then having a high value is a good thing. Yeah.
I know we're running short on time. You guys have been with us for a few hours now. One last question. If you had 10 seconds to give the world one tax tip, what would it be?
Pay them. Pay them, and you wouldn't have to pay me.
Definitely.
I remember having lunch with one of my high school classmates one day, and he was telling me he and his wife owned some rental property, investment property, and he said, "Well, we always run a year or two behind, but we always manage to get them paid." And I said to him, I said, "Eldon, I love people like you. People like you sent my children to college because you're going to pay and you intend to pay. And so I don't have to do a whole lot of litigation to get you to pay.
Right.
But you wait long enough so that you have to pay me too." People like you sent my children to college, man.
Wow. It is. Now you hear the truth.
Yeah.
Before our closing remarks, I want to make sure that, Doc, I don't think we did this on your show, so I want to make sure if people want to get in contact with you, they know how to get in contact with you. Attorney Glenn Lewis, we want to make sure people know how to get in contact with you if they are your offices, et cetera, et cetera. So I want you to take a quick 30 seconds and look into this camera right here and tell people if they want to connect with or contact with you, the both of you. I'm going to have the both of you go. You'll probably have to lean in just a little bit, Doc, so that Mike can catch you.
If you want to communicate with us about ad valorem taxes, you can in Tarrant County, then our office is at 100 Throckmorton, downtown Fort Worth. It used to be the old Tandy Center. It's an office building now, and we're on the 17th floor of that building. And our phone number is 817-877-4600. 4589.
Okay,
Doc.
yeah. If you want to get in contact with me for any reason, I'm still on the east side of Fort Worth, and so I'm back to this. Use your computer. Just Google. Just Google me. Meta Medical Services on East Lancaster, or Dr. Lewis on East Lancaster, and that'll get you in contact with my office.
There you have it. Doc, attorney, thank you so much for breaking all this down in a way people can truly understand.
Yeah.
The information you shared today can genuinely change lives and help viewers take control of their financial future. Once again, everyone, please give it up once again for attorney Glenn Lewis and Dr. Adolphus Ray Lewis for coming on the show, the Live Wicks Talk Show. And it's been a blessing and truly an honor for you guys. And big shout out to Miss Frankie. She's out in the audience. Big shout out and thank you for making this all possible and all happen for Live Wicks. We really and truly appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Stay tuned. We've got more powerful conversations coming up right here on the Live Wicks Talk Show. So be easy. Peace. Take care.
All right. Thank you. That was good.